As soon as Lu Fan received the mysterious sealed letter in his hands, his eyes froze for a moment. He muttered to himself, "Shadow Digger, if this is the mission, then he must be put to an end. The reward can be talked about later, but learning to enter the darkness first." A new notification popped up in the status window, Mission Completion Reward Shadow, Piercing Dagger. Lu Fan squinted, a faint smile appearing on his lips. The reward was certain, but the path was not. At that moment, there was a commotion in the sky. A bright light pierced through the clouds and headed towards the ground. Senior Sister's eyes were not fear, but warning. She immediately turned to Lu Fan and said in a loud voice, "Be careful. Something is coming." Without wasting a moment, Lu Fan drew out his dragon sword. His eyes shone with determination. Enroll, the effect of the dragon bloodline, had been activated. All skills were now bursting out with twice the intensity. Taking a deep breath, Lu Fan activated his skill Wind Slashing Dragon Strike. This was no ordinary attack, it was a double slash wrapped in dragon energy, with his dragon pet powering him up as well. The sword swirled in the air, and a storm erupted, as if the curtains of the sky had been ripped apart. Senior Sister was standing at a distance, watching this scene. There was a light smile in her eyes, a mixture of satisfaction and pride. Even a level 95 skill can't stand this in. Maybe we all underestimated Lu Fan all this time. Is not ordinary. Meanwhile, Andre shouted, "Lu Fan! The excavator is too far away, we can't wait." Lu Fan didn't say anything. He simply closed his eyes, took a deep breath, and said in a calm voice, "The right time has come," and Lu Fan leapt into the air, his dragon sword glinting in the sunlight. "Xiaoji, prepare for the world-destroying roar," his voice echoed across the sky like an Apache proclamation. Xiaoji spread his wings across the sky and lightning flashed in his eyes. Ordered, he roared and ancient dragon energy rippled around his body. A terrifying power had awakened. At that moment, Xiaoji called out to Xiaofei, "Cast the emerald blessing upon the fallen sacred dragon Xiao." Xiaofei bowed her head and emerald like radiance flowed from her claws and onto Xiao's body. Sacredness and anger burst forth simultaneously. The summoned dragons rose up, tearing through the air. The influence of the dragon bloodline had now doubled their power. They roared together, loud, deafening, and shaking the very soul of the earth. As Lu Fan activated the mirror projection, 8 black dragons appeared in the sky, each one made of shadows and flames, a living symbol of fear. They circled in the air, as if a dance of death was about to begin. "Attack all at once." Lu Fan's tone was serious, but it had the firmness of a command. The dragons froze for a moment, then charged forward at lightning speed. Andre, watching this scene from afar, his eyes widened in surprise. "Wow, so many dragons," he mumbled, as if unable to believe his eyes. Then his voice became graver. "Send these demons where they belong, to their tombs." On the other hand, Xiaoji, who was now flying, drew from his lungs a power that was impossible to put into words. An ancient, apocalyptic roar. Its voice ripped through the earth, and all the demons were drawn in that direction, as if the roar were calling out to their souls. The dragon's roar of destruction wasn't just a sound. It was a blow. All demons within range were heavily damaged. Now the summoned dragons activate the dragon attack shield. This is no ordinary defense. It wraps itself around the monstrous energy of fallen corpses, and then launches it towards the enemy like a dark spear. With each strike, a demon rises into the air, and is ripped apart and destroyed. Several demons are swallowed straight by the dragon, their bodies turning into burning steam. Andre's eyes lit up at the sight. "Great, brother, this is real cleaning," he shouted. "More than 10 demons are dying every second. Can't believe we're cleaning them up so fast." On the other hand, Senior Sister looked up to the sky. In her hand was a spear glowing with energy. After a moment of silence, she threw the spear with full force, and it flew like a lightning rod, not like a spear. All the demons that crossed his path were consumed instantly. "The digger is coming," he whispered. "But can we really stop it?" Lu Fan was now fed up. His sword was no longer vibrating with fatigue, but with annoyance. He looked around at the scattered demons, then swung his sword towards the sky. "That's enough," he said coldly. "Now, it's time to wipe them out in one fell swoop." Lu Fan didn't waste any time. He raised his dragon sword and activated the wind-breaking power. The power that was directly connected to the dragon's soul. Once, then twice. The waves released from the sword in both attacks ripped through the air, and the ranks of demons were torn apart. At the same time, as this skill was activated, Lu Fan's dragon, pet dragon, reacted as well. Two automatic claws connected to the dragon's soul appeared and attacked at full speed. The dragon's heavy, glowing claws crushed the demons as if they were clay statues. Andre was stunned by this sight. Wow, that cleared up so quickly, he said in amazement. I didn't expect it to be over so fast. But instead of joy, senior sister's eyes reflected something else, an unspoken fear. She said in a low voice, "Don't be too surprised now. Maybe he is coming now, the real boss." Suddenly, the ground began to shake. First a slight tremor, then as if some huge creature was running through the veins of the earth. Dust began to fly, cracks began to appear in the ground. A heavy, terrifying energy was now rising towards the surface. The tension on senior sister's face was clear. She took a deep breath and whispered in a low voice, "It is him. I recognize his presence." But then, the monster ripped through the ground and appeared in front of them. The earth cracked, rocks crumbled, and clouds of dust scattered into the air. The figure emerged slowly, but its shape it was unusual. It didn't look like a human, nor an animal. Its skin was as hard as iron, but cracked like decayed clay. Or maybe the shape was so variable that it was impossible to count. It was as if it had burst out of another dimension. As soon as it came out, it let out a terrifying scream. It wasn't pain, it wasn't anger, it was like a warning scream. A vibration resonated in everyone's chest, as if something inside them had shaken. The system window fluttered open. Name Shadow Digger level 90 skill unknown Lu Fan senior sister, and Andra, all fell silent for a moment. A strange sense of uneasiness seemed to spread all around. But then, he did something, a reaction, that surprised everyone. Strange vibrations emanated from his body, and his figure blurred in an instant. He neither attacked nor defended. He just shrank in one motion and then expanded. No one could understand what he was about to do. The next moment, the demon, Shadow Digger, activates its secret power. It digs a hole in the ground and then lies in it in a very strange way. Its body shakes slowly, like a liquid creature being sucked into a shell. Suddenly, the air becomes heavy. The shadows all around seem to be drawn into the hole. Mist, foul smell, and strange energy wrap around its body. Its skin begins to change. It is no longer flesh, it is becoming something else. Lu Fan figures out his skill. Shadow Digger has activated the power off. From Ski Pupa. Effect all shadows will be absorbed. The transformation into Pupa mode continues. Rejuvenation begins. Senior sister's eyes widen. It is absorbing everything. And look, there is something going on underground. Andre looked around as well. Graves. There are so many graves here. Sweat broke out on Lu Fan's forehead. He stuck his sword into the ground and thought to himself, "It's evolving into a pupa, and before it comes out, it will call back all the zombies." The ground around was shaking now. Small cracks were opening up, and blue-black energy began to rise from those cracks. Every single grave was shaking now, as if someone was knocking them from the inside. The team stood stunned. No one could understand what form this evolution would take. But one thing was now clear. Whatever was going to come out of the pupa, it probably wouldn't be the same as before. But just then, the earth shook again. The cracks deepened, and strange, terrifying creatures began to emerge from those cracks. They were not like any normal monsters. They were large and bulky in size. Clutches of flesh were hanging from their bodies. Some had eyes growing in some places. Some had one large eye, some had none at all. The status window blinked open. Name: Walker level 85 status, resurrected from the dead, who summoned Shadow Digger. When senior sister saw this, her face turned pale. But before they could think of anything, new cracks opened. Now some more terrifying figures began to tear the ground apart and emerge. The aura of these monsters was much heavier and more ferocious than the rest. The system warned a name: Ni, Terrible One Quartet, level 90 status active for a limited time number. Countless. Andre was stunned. There are more of them. What do we do? So many. Lu Fan's eyes darted around rapidly. Senior sister frantically attacked one of the demons with her spear. The tip pierced the demon's eye. The demon shrieked and retreated, but more came closer. My God, senior sister said in disgust. They are so disgusting. Luckily, they are still in uniform. So that means the boss hasn't arrived yet. Lu Fan didn't pause for a moment longer. She readied the wind, breaking power again, and looked into the darkness. Her eyes were now cold and steady. "There's nothing to be done," she said in a deep voice. "Now we just have to kill them." Lu Fan roared, his voice trembling with anger. "Xiao Ji, get ready to burn all those demons." With his words, Xiao Ji's body began to change rapidly. In an instant, she transformed into a giant black dragon. Red flames danced in her eyes and embers flowed from her wings. She had now become the destructive dragon. Flames swirled around her as she roared into the sky. She was now furious, becoming Lu Fan's fire. Lu Fan immediately gave the next command. "Xiao Fei, transform, activate soul protection." Xiao Fei closed her eyes without delay, and her body began to radiate into a dazzling light. She became the Solo Light, a protector ready to protect the entire group from physical and mental trauma. Now Lu Fan's plan was in full action. On one side, Xiao Ji's attacking fire, on the other side, Xiao Fei's protective shield. Xiao Ji released his destructive power, a roar, a shaking sky, and then an explosion. The fire was lava-like and scattered across the area. Everything in the way, trees, soil, monsters, was reduced to ash. Andre was completely stunned by this sight. His eyes widened and his lips quivered. "Great, I thought we would lose now." But Lu Fan, he really is a strategic monster. Suddenly the earth trembled. A deep, terrifying echo resounded. Senior sister looked away and pointed. "Look, there's movement at the excavation site." Everyone's eyes were now in that direction. Where the pupa had been sleeping before, something was now moving, something was about to come out. And this was probably the boss, whom no one had waited for, nor was anyone prepared. Damage reduction, recovery feature, and continuous summoning. Andre's scream echoed across the field. This is not good at all. His face was filled with fear and uneasiness. The entire battlefield was now shrouded in a miasma haze. Black, sticky shadows were appearing every 2 or 3 seconds, sometimes demonic figures, sometimes rotten zombies, as if the darkness was expanding itself. But then a strange tremor spread. The ground shook once again. Lu Fan immediately looked around and said in a firm voice, "Everyone be careful. The real boss is about to arrive." The status window flashed. Countdown begins. 3, 2, 1, and then miasma pupa is ready. An eerie silence fell. Just then Crero, a purple feather, came out, tearing through the earth. All eyes turned in that direction. Then another feather, then a long, heavy roar, and then he came out. A giant purple dragon. His body was full of wounds, but a purple glow flowed over it. His eyes had the coldness of death and the pride of rebirth. He slowly stood up fully on the ground, vibrating the earth with his heavy feet. Then he raised his neck, took a deep breath, and said in a thunderous voice, "I have been resurrected." As the purple shadow dragon fully appeared on the ground, the status window flashed. Everyone had their eyes on it because only time and fate will decide who will survive. V status Shadow Dragon level on 95 name. Shadow Dragon, Formless Fear, primary abilities 1. Night form, the dragon will enter battle in human form. All attacks inflict physical shadow damage. Spiritual attributes, a 25% 2 dragon form, the dragon will go into full dragon form. All attacks inflict physical, magical damage. Strength attributes, 25% 3. Shadow Me Today passive, when the dragon's HP reaches below 25% it draws shadow energy, absorbs health from all nearby enemies. Senior sister's eyes widened. He can transform. Andre bit his lip, and when he's injured, he'll be even more dangerous. Lu Fan gripped his sword tightly. That means we have to kill him in one go, or else he'll slowly kill us. Shadow Dragon took a deep breath. Andre's eyes widened. His breathing became faster. This is not the transition stage, he whispered, as if the truth was hard to accept. This is the real master, the general of Maya's mother pupa, Shadow Dragon, its true form. Lu Fan looked at her quietly, a question in her eyes. What to do now? Senior sister was stunned. There was no fear in her eyes, just a deep seriousness, saying there was no turning back. Lu Fan raised his sword. Layers of mist passed around him. There was no doubt in his eyes anymore. There's nothing to do, just go ahead and kill him. There was no panic or arrogance in his words, only solid conviction. The roar of the dragons echoed again. The shadow dragon stood still in place, as if it had accepted the challenge. Lu Fan raised his hand to the sky. There was a vibration in his fist, not just of power, but of emotion. "Whoa," he mumbled, as if realizing the gravity of the moment himself. In the next moment, lightning began to flow from his eyes. Bao Bao manifested not 1, hundreds of current lines which began to spread out through his body in all directions. The ground, the air, the sky, all trembled with that energy. Thunder fever, his most dangerous power. As soon as this power was activated, the effect of the thunder jet changed to world-destroying thunder. Now there was a bright yellow jet in his hand, and his thunder jet power was blazing. This was the power that took all the blue dragon skills to the extreme. Each time he released a lightning spell, a different lightning bolt would strike the target. And when an enemy entered the range of his magic, they would be burned by that wall of lightning. Lu Fan took a look at his comrades. His voice was strong, controlled and decisive. Safesi, protect senior sister and Andra. Emerald mirror projection was instantly cast on both Xiao Fei and Xiao Hai. A glowing green shield formed around them, capable of protecting them from shadows and magical attacks. Now Lu Fan was ready. Behind him were layers of lightning, and in front, the Shadow Dragon General. There was no hesitation in Lu Fan's eyes anymore. He knew if it wasn't stopped now, this Shadow Dragon would become even more powerful. And then it might be too late. We have to finish it off once and for all. He felt deep inside, as if his soul warned him. The next moment, the two dragons, Xiaoji and Xiaofei, split into numerous copies. Like waves in the ocean, they spread out in all directions, heading towards the same target from every direction. Lu Fan doesn't delay any longer. He takes the dragon's sword and leaps high into the air. Lightning flashes around him, and his heart says only one thing. He screams with all his might, "Attack together! Finish them!" Suddenly, the blue lightning bolts and the burning flames of the black dragon burst simultaneously at the shadow dragon. For a moment, the entire area is filled with light and flame. The shadow dragon, who had seemed invincible until now, is now invincible. Destroyed in a single blow. How is that possible? He screamed, "I was immortal, But before he could say anything else, there was a massive explosion, and he was completely destroyed. The smoke cleared, and Lu Fan stood alone with his dragon sword. Behind him was a burning field, and in front of him, a new future. He took a deep breath and said, "Now we can safely enter this ruined city." Then the status window appeared. Lu Fan's level 46 of Black Dragon's level 45. This chapter ends here. Please subscribe to the channel and press the bell button to watch the next chapter.